Alright, so you'll recall the passenger side door from my last video. We did an endoscope analysis to try to figure out how the internals are working, and now since the internals are overall in better condition than with the driver's side door, we're going to start taking things apart and removing some of these modules to get the measurements that I need so that I can recreate these fittings in a 3D printer. To that end, I've got all of my tools laid out right here, and already have the bit that we need ready to go. So as far as I can tell, the door latch right here is going to come off with 3 large Phillips bolts. These look like the factory bolts, so for the record they use a PH3 bit, which comes from my screwdriver kit, but it happens to work with my DeWalt T-handle. This wouldn't work in all situations, but this is the closest fit that we possibly have right now. These screws are actually pretty badly damaged, and this one's in the worst shape. So even though I am using the right bit for this application, it still wants to rock about a little bit. I'm thinking once these are out, these Phillips screws are probably done, and I'll try to find replacements for them when I put the door back together. For now, we just need to get them out once, and hopefully we don't have to drill anything. Now, and I can see the door latch loosening right off, so I think this will be, yep. The door latch is now off and is resting on its fittings, so it's not connected to anything but other little bars that hold it together. I'm going to switch it back to my long shafted Phillips bits here. This top door handle, and it looks like I've got it hit on the first try. Alright. I'm wondering if there's something else I've missed that helps remove it. I don't think so. This is where classic screwdriver bits can be good for checking to see if something can even be pried off. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this thing, just trying to see if it has enough give in it to be removable. And it looks like these little buckles here are what help hold it in, so I'm going to try prying these out of the way. Feels like it's hitting on something, so I'm going to pull the endoscope out, and I'm going to make sure, I hope that there's not a screw on the inside that needs to get removed, because that would just be terrible design. So this is more to relieve my suspicion, having experienced what happens when you guess wrong when it comes to this stuff. I used to be a mechanic's apprentice a long time ago, which is about as far as I ever got in the automotive field. So I have familiarity with a lot of the basic tools and best practices for situations like this. And the principle at play here is, if you're not sure that something works the way, if you're not sure how something works, it's best to get sure how something works, because it always takes longer to do it again if you do it wrong. Is this paper in the way? Now I'm looking at the latch properly here. Track around its perimeter. This is more about giving me the confidence that I need to get a bigger hammer and know that I'm not going to break something. Yeah. So this is a bigger hammer problem. Get in here and give it some, there we go. So it does just require a little bit more grunt in order to get it loose. I think it needs to go forward just a little bit more. There we go. All right, so this is the passenger door handle module, and since it doesn't have a fitting, once you've got it loose, you just have to work it off of the connector that it's on. This thing's in some shabby condition. Whatever this paper backing is completely deteriorated away. And that looks like a spider's egg sac. The inside of these things actually isn't too bad. I mean, the door handle, you can see there's a little driver gear that pushes another gear that works the latch inside. So mechanically, it's very simple. If I spray it off and wash it out, it's probably still in pretty good condition. I might still get replacements for this. We'll see how that all pans out. We need to get the connector right here off. so that we can free up a little bit more room to access the latch that we unscrewed earlier. I wanted them both loose to begin with so that we had some playing around to do. This still has a fitting on it, and I want to be able to work the connector between the passenger door handle on the inside and the door latch. I have to negotiate with the fitting that's still in here in order to make any progress. Oh, I'm an idiot. I completely forgot about the fitting that connects to the outside door latch. That's where we're wedging right now. That's what a lot of this stuff is when you don't know what you're doing and there isn't a lot of documentation on what you're supposed to do. It's trial and error. It's moving one thing to see how the other things move in response. And I can actually point out the problem right up here with my screwdriver. You can see it right through the top of this hole, or right down here. But the outside door handle is now fully extended and I can't flip and do anything until apparently it comes out. So I either have to undo the fitting here, or I have to undo the bolts that hold the entire module on to give myself enough room to do what I need to do. I need to get under it and apply force directly upwards without bashing my knuckles into the sharp end of the window channel here. Thankfully, this takes two giant standard screws. The Ford engineers did not weld the nuts to the inside of the door, so I need to hold the other side with a wrench to get the outside door handle off. Two screws. And the fitting popped right out. And now I can thread the door handle completely out. The fitting stayed with the connector. That is another remarkably simple device. It's basically just two ends on spring loads. Oh, get a load of this. The inserts here are cracked. I don't know how important they are to the mechanism, but it otherwise feels fine. However, this is a sign, to me at least, for my standards, that I may need to replace the outside door handle. So I'll keep an eye on that and make a note of it for later. And we'll set the door handle over here next to the same internal handle that it came with, or connects to. And now, when I go to pull this out, yep, there it is. Came right out. Right past the window channel, basically no interference whatsoever. So now we're just going to play a little puzzle game, trying to find the right position to take the other stuff apart. So here is the connector that goes to the interior door handle. And if you reposition the camera, you can see it makes a little S-curve right here. So all we have to do to get this connector free and get the rest of the module out is try to make the door handle, or sorry, try to make the latch here turn. And there you have it. The whole thing comes out. There's the latch module. Doesn't look all that impressive outside of the door, but it is caked in what looks like just 40 years of mineralized junk that mixed with whatever lubricant that they had on it from the factory and just coagulated into a mess. But now I've got there's the lock plunger, 3 fittings that I can pull detailed measurements from and complete access to be able to hopefully remove them without breaking them. But you'll see here, I don't know if this had 4 nubs originally. This only has 2, so I'm going to probably look into that a little bit more. But all that needs to happen for this fitting to fail is for one of these remaining nubs to pop off. The reason I think that there's supposed to be 4 of them is that its neighbor right here has 4. And this guy has 4. And here, if you remember from my last video, is the fitting that connects to the lock cylinder next to the outside door handle. And this is the mechanism that essentially allows the lock cylinder to lock the door. So this is the locked position, and when you unlock your door, there's supposed to be a fitting here to keep this from shaking around. It pops up. Or at least I think there's supposed to be a fitting. Otherwise, having this door get taken apart makes no sense. And here's that little bend that the lock fitting tab or whatever is supposed to thread into to make everything work. So that mechanically is what we've got to work with. It's going to go over here. So we have now removed all of the operating systems on this door that are responsible for locking, unlocking, opening, and closing it. Once you pull everything out, I find it's important to keep it all as organized as possible. So I have these door internals that we just removed laid out on the table roughly the way that they would be laid out in the door. So here we've got the latch, which leads up to the outside door handle right here. That's this fitting. This goes to the this one goes to the lock cylinder. Here's the door plunger that you move up and down. And then the main connector that goes to the inside door handle. And then this is the cover plate that goes on the inside door handle, which I've included because the screw that helps hold the door handle on down here helps hold it on up here. They come together like that. So if you wondered what the internal structure of a Bronco/Ranger door looks like when it does not have door motors or any electrical components inside, this is basically what you've got going. It's super simple, very straightforward, easy to understand, but not until you actually take it apart, because I'll be honest, I had no idea how any of this worked until after I spent a bunch of time ripping into this. And we haven't even got into the window yet. The window is another project that's going to need attention and will probably be the topic of a later video. Which means now the next step is going to be getting the measurements that I need from all the individual fittings so that I can then recreate them in a computer and hopefully in a format that a 3D printer will be able to recognize. Guess I'll catch you all soon. It's trial and error. It's moving one thing to see how the other things move in response. And I can actually point out the problem right up here with my screwdriver.